Hey ninth graders, in this video I'm going to be talking about pages 308 to 309, okay, so definitely get your book, open it up because I'm going to cover some of the exercises and really talk about it, and it'll be good for you to be able to follow along. Alright, so this is a new unit, really, a new set of concepts and everything, really starting to apply the information, how to use the different parts of speech in the sentences and everything, but that's what we're talking about. At the top of page 308, it says sentence structure. That's what we're talking about, recognizing the different types. There's four basic types, but we're just going to cover two of them today in this video. This is not necessarily a definition in your book, but it's just something that I kind of came up with to summarize what we're talking about. Sentence structure is using words, phrases, and clauses to make effective sentences. Okay, that's just the basic parts: words, phrases, the different types of phrases, and of course clauses. That's primarily what we're talking about today because that's what is the sentences, so to speak. Of course, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to communicate our ideas effectively. So let's go into clauses, because words, of course, and phrases make up clauses. Maybe get you something to write on. Might be good for you. Okay. Definition of a clause: it is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. Two types of clauses. Hopefully this is review. Hopefully you haven't completely forgot how a clause is made up. Two types of clauses are independent and dependent. Okay. An independent clause has a complete thought. It has a subject, verb, and a complete thought. We usually just call it a sentence, okay? So that's not anything new. A dependent clause does have a subject and a verb, but it does not make up a complete thought. It's usually it's introduced by relatives or subordinated conjunctions, who, whom, which, if, because, since, before, after, things like that. And of course, the dependent clause would work with the independent clause to make a sentence, okay? But of course, an independent clause can be a sentence all by itself. We're specifically talking about the two sentence structures that are from independent clauses. Later, the other sentence structures incorporate dependent clauses, but for right now, we're just talking about independent sentences and how they make up the structures that they make up. So let's go over and look at these two. All right, so the first two structures are simple and compound. First two sentence structures, okay? A simple sentence is that's what it is. It's just one sentence with one set of subjects and verbs, one idea, one thought. Okay? That should be the easiest. Okay, that's why it's called simple. Compound, hopefully you remember what compound means. It's made up of two or more. Okay, you have compound subject, compound verbs, and of course compound sentences. So that is two or more. It's two sets. So you would have mom went to the store and dad stayed at home to watch the kids. Two separate things going on. They're joined by either a coordinating conjunction, and, but, for, nor, or, yet, so hopefully you remember those, or a semicolon. If you remember all the way back with punctuation at the beginning of the year, what comes between two sentences? A comma and a coordinating conjunction, or a semicolon. This is where we're starting to, first we start, at the beginning of the year we talked about punctuation and how they join two sentences. Well, now we're talking about the two sentences that is joined, okay? So it's kind of just backwards. It's the other half of it, all right? So let's look in your book to see what we can find. Exercise A, talking about on page 308, get your book open. Exercise A on page 308, you are just looking for the two separate sentences, okay? As I said, it'll have two separate sets of subject and verb with a coordinating conjunction in the middle, and then a subject and verb on the other side, okay? So that's really your goal that you want to start trying to find. Find the coordinating conjunction or the semicolon, and then find your subject and verb on each side. So look at exercise A, number 1. Waiting for the bell to stop. I may tremble on the rock, but the rock never trembles under me. Hopefully you can see the coordinating conjunction stuck right in the middle and it has a comma. Let me take this moment real quick to explain that you can have conjunctions in a sentence that just join a couple of words, mom and dad. But that is not two sentences. That's just two words. A compound sentence has to be two sentences with subject and verb on one side and a subject and verb on the other side. And of course, like I said, many times if it is two sentences, it'll have a comma with it. That's why commas are so important. Going back to the beginning of the year again. All right, so we do have a comma and a coordinating conjunction, comma, but go back and just check, find your subject and verb on each side. I may tremble, and on the other side it is rock trembles. So we do have a subject and verb on each side. Number 2, look for the coordinating conjunction or the semicolon. Take a second. We do have a conjunction, but we have a comma before it. All right, so on the first side, let's just check. Men are looking, subject and verb there. On the other side, God is looking. Okay, so two thoughts, two completely separate thoughts joined by the coordinating conjunction, making it compound. Number 3, find the coordinating conjunction or semicolon. In this one, we have a semicolon, so you can still put a box around it. Semicolon, subject and verb on one side. Evangelism is. On the other side, salvation is. Okay. Number 4, hopefully you're getting the hang of this. Okay, these are all compound. Look for the coordinating conjunction or semicolon. This one actually has two conjunctions. We've got 3. Never mind, it's got 3. We've got fears and distastes and adversity. And then in the end, we have forts and hopes. And 3 times they've used the word and. But only one of them is joining the two sentences. It is the one with the comma. That's why commas are so important, because they go between the two sentences with the coordinating conjunction. All right, so put a box around the one that has a comma next to it, right after distaste, before adversity. And let's go back to the beginning and find the subject and verb in it. Prosperity is, and on the other side, adversity is. That's it. That's all you got to find. That's the subject and verb. Number 5, look for this one actually has a semicolon, so look for the semicolon. It's right after deaths, and then subject and verb. Cowards die on first side, and valiant taste on the second side. Valiant taste. Okay. That exercise was just to show you that you can find the coordinated conjunction and the two separate subjects and verbs. Exercise B on the next page, I'm going to go over that a little bit with you, mixes it up. So this one has simple and compound sentences in it. Okay, so you have to decide, is this one actually simple or is it compound? Remember, both have subjects and verbs. Compound will have a coordinating conjunction or a semicolon with the comma. The main thing is you have to make sure you have two sets of subjects and verbs. A simple will only have one set. Now you can have multiple subjects. You can have subject, 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 but only one verb. That's not a compound sentence. That's a compound subject, but not a compound sentence. You say, Sam, Julie, and Alex play ball. Okay, that's just one thought. There's one thing that's happening. But if I said, Sam is reading a book, Julie is cooking dinner, and John is playing outside, that's 3 separate thoughts. Sorry, that was just off the top of my head completely. Okay, that would be compound. All right, so let's look at exercise B together a little bit. Number 1, first go and see if you have a coordinating conjunction with a comma or a semicolon. Okay. We do have a coordinating conjunction, the word and. But take a second look at it. Does it have a comma with it? It does not. And then just look at the first half of it. Henry Hudson. That's not a sentence, okay? So that can't be a sentence all by itself. So we do have the word and, but let's see the 5 subjects and verbs that we have. Henry Hudson, Martin Frobisher, sought. we see any other verbs in this sentence? No. There, all we have is two subjects, one verb, making it a simple sentence. It's just one thought. And that's what you really have to focus on. Is it one thought or is it multiple thoughts, two or more thoughts? That's what compound is. So number one is simple. Look at number two. Look for the coordinating conjunction or the semicolon. That's what you need to do first. Coordinating conjunction, semicolon. Okay? We've got the word but. Do we have any commas with it? Right before it. But let's double check, make sure we've got two subjects and verbs. We've got the coordinating conjunction. Sorry, I don't know what kind of box that is. Okay. Magellan organized. That's one subject and verb. Let's look on the other side. He was killed. That's another one. Subject verb. Subject verb. It is compound. Okay. That's really what you got to do with this. You got to look for the coordinating conjunction or the semicolon and just double check to make sure you have a subject and verb on each side. If you want to pause the video now and just look, finish that exercise, you can. I'm going to go ahead to exercise C. It's not much different. It's just kind of building. I was basically doing it right here. What they want you to do in exercise C is just write out the formula, okay? How many subjects and verbs do you have? Do you have any coordinating conjunctions? This is what they want you to do on that line down there. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of those with you. Exercise C. Number 1 says, pumpkins, cucumbers, and squash are all members of the gourd family. Okay, we've got pumpkins, cucumbers, squash are all members of the gourd. Look for your coordinating conjunction or semicolon. Okay, we've got the word and. I'm going to just try to put it right here. We have a comma next to it, okay? But let's double check and make sure we have subject and verb on each side. All right, on one side of the and, we have pumpkins, cucumbers. Are they subjects and verbs? They are not. They are just two subjects. And then we have squash, another subject. And we have a verb. So technically, we only have one thought. We have three subjects, one verb, one thought, making it a simple sentence. It's just simple because you only have one thought and not two or more thoughts. Okay, number 2. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you. Look for the coordinating conjunction. Okay, we've got the word but. We've got a comma next to it. Let's look for subjects and verbs. Ye have not chosen me. Where's the subject and verbs there? Ye have chosen. Okay, it's a verb phrase, so we have a subject and verb there. Look on the other side. Do we have a subject and verb, a separate one? I have chosen and ordained. We actually have two verbs over there. But point is, do we have a subject with them? Who have chosen? I have chosen. Okay, so we have a subject, we have two verbs, two different thoughts, joined by a conjunction. This one is compound. Put the abbreviation, compound. Okay, do one more with you. Number 3, Homer and Virgil were two ancient poets. We've got the coordinating conjunction, we don't have a comma, and Homer is not a sentence. It's just one word, okay? But we do have Homer. You probably already know what this is. Homer, Virgil, were, two subjects, one verb, making it a simple sentence. It's just breaking it down to the most simple, easiest as possible way to show you simple sentences have one thought that they're trying to express. Compound sentences are two separate thoughts that they're trying to express, joined by a coordinating conjunction or a semicolon. And that's the idea. work through the rest of that. If you look at the next page, you just want some extra work. We're not doing the diagrams necessarily, but it would be good practice for you to go find your coordinating conjunctions or semicolons, subjects and verbs, things like that, because you need to have this down before you can go to the next step, which is the next sentence structure. But these are the first two, simple and compound. Let me know if you have questions.